you find yourself peering between the waves in Evans Hall, you may be lucky enough to catch a glimpse of a pod of tenacious dolphins. This particular dolphin pod is comprised of inspirers, supporters, observers, reformers, self-identified extroverts, introverts, and ambiverts. The heterogeneous pod engages in a participatory group process based on mutual respect that leads to an organic selection of roles, including a group facilitator, timekeeper, and whiteboard writer. They have only recently banded together, but they are already showing signs of synergy. This episode will take you through some real encounters with this tenacious pod as they reflect on some of the obstacles they have encountered and how they plan to apply the lessons learned to future journeys at sea. Every pod of dolphins develops its own rules and norms. In this dolphin pod, group decisions are made in an egalitarian manner where all ideas are heard and then narrowed down through a democratic vote.
So how do dolphins make decisions?
I don't know. Tell me.
They flip a coin.
Actually, it's a bit more complicated process. We use a democratic process to make informed decisions. First, we visualize the objectives, define problems, and then we assess their expertise within our team. Then we consider options going forward, and after that we vote for the best options, and then match tasks with our roles. What do you think about this process?
Well, I think that it kind of reminds me of what we were learning about in the case study with IDEO, that democratic process that we like to use. However, I definitely see some caveats associated with this practice, as we've seen throughout the week in our exercises, and just mainly that this flat type of operating structure sometimes leads to confusion about who is going to run the group and who is going to streamline the work and kind of break down the processes in an appropriate amount of time so we can continue to move forward. So I see that the voting process comes in direct conflict with imposed time constraints, and we need to get better at just setting incremental goals so that we can move faster through our process.
When facing extraordinary challenges, this pod of tenacious dolphins exhibits a remarkable ability to leverage group expertise. To the untrained eye, it is a matter of sheer coincidence that teammates with the most relevant knowledge frequently exercise the most influence in the group process and final results. However, the secret to their synergy lies in the group's natural ability to gather perspectives from all members early on. Several recent exercises cast light on their strengths as a team. Most recently, in the wake of a deadly hurricane that swept through Tobago, this pod of maroon dolphins identified and applied individual expertise to rank necessary survival tools.
So I'm really impressed by our team's ability to leverage expertise, especially with respect to the hurricane survival challenge. I think that Tenacious M's framework that he laid out was really, really helpful, and because he has the most experience, we kind of went with that after hearing everyone's opinions and justifications for why we should rank items a certain way. So it seemed like the best use of our time, and to complete that in a short amount of time overall was really, really effective.
Yeah, I thought in the orientation project we did a great job of utilizing the person with the most expertise on the idea that we ran with to make them the biggest influencer.
While this pod has many strengths, there are surely some strong currents that they have had to swim against.
We had a hard time clearly defining problems to be addressed by the pod and splitting the labor between members of the pod, which led some of them to try to take on a lot of roles, while others felt lost and didn't know where to fit in. This pattern proved itself not to be the most time-efficient one.
Right. Like in the Tanagram puzzle, we didn't have clearly defined goals and we all sort of jumped in at once, which made it difficult to solve the puzzle, not to mention the fact that it's tough to do with these flippers. But I think we really learned from that experience with the Lego Man, and we had clearly established roles, and we ended up getting the second lowest time.
Also, in the matter of time efficiency, dolphins, as really smart and creative creatures, may tend to elaborate too much on many different ideas. even tangential ones.
And that could make us lose focus on the real problem and waste precious time that could be used to improve our swimming skills.
There is a school of fish ahead. The pod has a natural tendency to revert back to its instincts, and each dolphin individually wants to pursue the fish. But the pod remembers when they came together as a team in the forest one day and scaled an unscalable wall together. They coordinated their attack based on team guidelines with an organized process and clearly defined roles. As a group, their attack on the school of fish results in the biggest catch of the year. A feast for the whole pod awaits. Although tenacious dolphins can hear frequencies 10 times or more above the upper limit of adult human hearing, they still have to work on their active listening skills.
So we've put a lot of thought into thinking about how the Hackman model applies to our group and whether we see any places in the model where we can improve. One of the places that we'd like to focus our improvements moving forward is in the process portion of the Hackman model. Specifically, we want to focus on improving our active listening skills by doing the following things.
Eye contact.
Paraphrasing.
Asking clarifying questions.
And work on time efficiency.
Dolphins are adaptive learners and extremely data-driven. This pod even works together to create individual performance evaluations within the pod itself.
As we move forward, we plan on making 2 changes. First, we decided to develop a questionnaire somewhat similar to the one we had for the hurricane survival exercise, which we fill after our projects. The questionnaire will be a great foundation for a feedback discussion, which will allow us to understand how team dynamics develop, if every team member is satisfied with his or her level of participation, and if we accomplish goals set before the project. The second one is having debrief sessions at least once a month and after each one of our projects is done, so that we can meet outside of the work and study environment to nourish our friendship and team spirit in a healthy way.
As a newly formed team, this tenacious pod will migrate together through challenging seas, becoming stronger and more resilient every day.
Wait, are we doing this in English? All right, good. This is gonna be much easier now. Are we filming?
Yeah, we're filming.
Oh. Okay.
So Tenacious M, what did you think of our team's developments?
Well, I think we came together great as a team. I've been really impressed. In fact, I put together a speech. Can I read it?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. You guys might not know this, but I consider myself a bit of a loner. I tend to think of myself as a one-man dolphin pod. But when Tenacious B and Tenacious L came to Yale, I knew they were one of my own. And my dolphin pod, it grew by 2. So there we were, the 3 of us in a dolphin pod. I was alone in the first, and then Tenacious B and Tenacious L joined later. And 2 weeks ago, when Tenacious B and Tenacious L introduced me to you guys, I thought, wait a sec, could it be? And now I know for sure. I just added 5 more to my dolphin pod.
All right.
8 of us dolphins running around together in Las Vegas.
Did you just take Hangover Part 1 and drop in Dolphin Pod instead of Wolf Pack? Alright, so how do dolphins get their mail? Sea mail.